What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. It has been a long time since I've updated you guys on the C10, and I'm going to show you guys what it currently looks like. Now, the last time that you guys saw this was me working in the engine, doing wiring, putting in sensors, trying to figure out little by little how this thing worked. I've never worked on a C10 or an LS vehicle before. However, since the last time that you guys saw it, which has been several months, I have been working away on this truck nonstop. Now, I have not recorded a fair portion of what I've been doing on it. I have taken video clips here and there as I've been working on it. So when I received this truck, it was a 79 C10 long bed that had an LS and a 4L60E that were placed inside of the truck. Now, when I say placed, it's basically on both the transmission mount and the motor mounts. Other than that, nothing else was connected. So what I've done is get all the wiring connected. Everything that was donor related that I was going to use is now back in the truck. The truck has now been shortened, so it is now a short wheelbase model. Thanks to Porterbuilt Fabs for the kit that allowed me to convert from a long bed to short bed. And in addition to that, I also just replaced the bed itself. So let me show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, so let's talk about the truck. So you have 79 C10 was converted to a short bed. Again, Porterbuilt Fab has a kit that allows you to essentially cut, weld, and bolt together the frame to go from a long bed to a short bed. In addition to that, I also bought a short box, which I have just essentially placed back on the frame. I don't have to worry about cutting or welding the long bed. Basically bought this one, sold the other one. I've swapped out the wheels. So the original look had 20-inch IROC clone wheels and tires. That wasn't my cup of tea, although I do like square bodies that have 20-inch wheels, 22-inch wheels. Those particular wheels were not my cup of tea. This truck, I'm going for more of a race truck vibe. So somebody online, Facebook Marketplace, swapped me for a set of Aero wheels that came with these tires. The tires are roached, they're going to need to be replaced, so just, don't worry about that. But these are 15 by 10 with a 4-inch back spacing. As far as the fit, you can see we've got some space there. And then as far as the front goes, we've got some space there. So they definitely fit. They do not hit the control arms like some of the other 10-inch wide wheels do. If you get a 5-inch back spacing, that's probably going to hit the lower control arm. You're going to need to fix it. In addition to that, you guys did already know that this was LS swapped. As I mentioned before, the engine and the transmission were placed in here. Nothing was connected. So I've done all the wiring on this one. I've kept it as original as possible in terms of the swap materials that I've used. So you're going to see from the donor vehicle, which was an 05 Tahoe, we've got the fuse box, we've got the ECU, of course the original battery on a 79, the battery's on that side, so I have taken the battery mount out and I went ahead and cut it and welded it, and it is now in place right here. You can kind of see. In addition to that, I did swap over the brake booster and the master cylinder from an 82. I used the original radiator from the swap vehicle. So you can see I've got the radiator here. I've got the electronic fans mounted. So I did order these relays online that were plug and play. So basically this relay will connect down to the fans on this radiator and they'll come on at a certain temperature. As you can see here, it does have some aftermarket headers. Same thing with the plugs and the coils. I'm in the process of building the exhaust right now, so I'm gonna give you guys an update on that whenever it's finished. So it does have a brand new fuel tank in the rear. You can see the fuel tank right there. It does have a Holley drop-in retrofit fuel pump. that has the hydromat. So the tank does not have baffles in it, but the pump does have a hydromat. So that essentially is gonna make sure that there's always fuel being supplied to the motor if there's any sort of sloshing or fuels moving around in there. If you guys are not familiar with that, look up the hydromat. It's actually some pretty cool technology that Holley has out for some of these older applications that don't have baffles in the tank. So I have one line that's coming from the fuel pump. It is in tank to prevent the pump from burning out. I live in the desert. It is hot as hell out here right now. It's like 107 degrees. And I didn't want a tank that was exterior to the fuel and that was relying on air to cool it down, because out here it's not gonna cool down, it's just gonna burn up. Cool things that I've done here, like I mentioned before, it does have the original fuse box. Now inside the fuse box, I'm using mostly the original fuses. Something else I added here was the check engine light. So for whatever reason there is a code that pops up, or if I feel like it's running weird, I'll pop this panel off and see if that's illuminated. If it is, that means I've got an error reporting, and that is connected directly to the ECU. I've been using my OBD scan with an app on my Android tablet that will plug in directly to my OBD2, which is wired again to the ECU. When that's connected, it does the same thing that it would if it was inside of the engine bay of any modern vehicle. It illuminates, the vehicle does need to be on, and then from there I can check pretty much any setting or sensor that is connected to this vehicle. For the coolant, so your typical coolant sensor goes right here. I'm using one off of a 98 Camaro. It's a 3-wire. So 2 of those wires connect to the standard LS harness. There's a 3rd wire that is connected to the wiring harness here on the truck that allows me to get temperature readout not only on the tablet, but also in the truck. So when the truck is on, it is reading temperature from the LS. It'll show me what the current temperature is. I think the hottest this has got, just sitting in the garage idling for 15-20 minutes, is about 202. So it's working well. It's cooling itself down. Plenty of air is moving across the radiator, which brings me to another point. You can't see it here, barely, but I have an aftermarket transmission cooler. So that was also one of the things that was taking me a while to kind of figure out and kind of route. But you've got the aftermarket transmission cooler that is connected to the radiator. Lines go directly back from here, back right there, and then they're connected to the transmission. So both fuel and transmission lines are AN fittings. No leaks, everything connected the way that it needed to, and it works no problem. If you look at the interior of this truck, it's got all blue dash, door panels. The only thing that was black was the floor, so I decided, you know what, let's go ahead and change it up a little bit in here. The original bench seat that was in here was reupholstered in some like black vinyl that was really thin. It was in decent shape. There was probably 1 or 2 like cracks on the vinyl itself, but I wanted to go ahead and swap it out for a more modern seat. So what you're gonna see here is a 2016 Chevy Silverado rear seat. This is a seat that's attached to the back of the cab. This is from an LTZ model. So this is leather. This is one of the seats that you're going to have the middle, and then it also has the cup holder, which is important to me. So I wanted to either have the option to have somebody sit in the middle, which would be one of my 2 kids, or have an armrest or a cup holder. So one of the things with C10s that you guys know is that there's not really a space for a cup holder unless you get creative or you order some of those cheap plastic flimsy ones. So what I did is I just took the seat out and I put in this one. So you guys are probably wondering how I did that. I am using the original sliders. And then other than that, when this seat comes out, it is literally just the leather skin, the foam, and then underneath the foam is just like a metal skeleton. And all I did was weld 4 tabs to the back corners, or to the 2 back corners, 2 front corners, and then I welded this interior section together, kind of like you see here. This is gonna get painted, so don't really mind that, but this is just really for stability. So that's kind of made it together. So instead of it being these 2 as a seat and then this one as a seat that moved independently, now it's just one solid structure. Now once it's solid, I was able to, like I said, weld the tabs into the bottom corner here, into the corner here, and then those are held together with bolts to the slider. So you can kind of see it up in there. But that gave me the ability to, like I said, retain the original movement of the stock bench seat. So if I want to slide it forward, I can. If I want to slide it back, I can. But another reason why I did this is when you're sitting on the original bench seat, you are sitting fairly high. At least I felt that way. So when you have the steering wheel in your lap, it almost felt like it was going to be touching my thighs. And with this, I mean, you can already see there's ample space between where you seat and where the steering wheel is at. So I thought that was pretty cool. It took me about a weekend to get it mocked up and put in there, and it came out pretty cool. As far as the door panels go, because this was the blue interior, door panels were roached. You can kind of see a little bit of how they look now. I just went to the store and got some of the plastic paint that's meant for like vinyl and fabrics and plastics, and just, you know, sanded off some of the stuff that was flaking off so it's still a solid structure underneath. I painted up the door panel, painted up these armrests, excuse the dust, there's dust everywhere in this garage, and then put them back on. You can see some of the paint needs to be, you know, cleaned up. It's still dusty and whatnot. This original like plastic underlayment, the rubber piece was still in there when I bought the truck, so I decided to retain it. All I did was, you know, repaint these black. These floor mats, they came with the truck. I did also add a manual shifter. So you're gonna see this B&M shifter right here that was put in place to be able to shift the 4L60E. As you can see, there's no dash right now. So I took the dash out, like everybody else's dash on a C10, it was absolutely roached. So I'm in the process right now of kind of redoing it. When I bought this truck, it came with this little cover right there. Clearly it's not going to be painted red, but my whole thought process here is to fill these with some Bondo. Once I get it to a point where it's all flat, I'm going to primer it, and then I'm actually going to re-skin the whole dash. So I've got some leather that should be here at the end of the week. I've never done it before, but my first shot at this is going to basically to reupholster this whole dash. So when it goes back in, it'll be a nice leathered black dash, similar to this. It may not be, you know, what you see from a professional, but it should look way better than, you know, what this looked like before with these, you know, giant cracks all inside here. So this has been, you know, a little bit of a project for me. But one of the things that I worked on very hard while I was working on this truck was to kind of refurbish a lot of it. So, you know, I worked on the suspension. So I went through each individual leaf spring, took it all apart, knocked off all the rust, repainted it. Also worked on the rear differential. The entire axle has been gone through. Gears are spaced out the way that they need to be. It's got new fluid. It has been painted. I know you can't really see it now, but all of the bushings have been replaced with energy suspension polyurethane bushings. Everything except for the body mounts. Anything suspension related has all been replaced. I'm gonna insert a photo of the front, the way that it looks like without the wheel on it. Brake lines have been replaced. All the suspension arms, pitman arms, idler arms, all of that stuff has all been replaced with new equipment. Ball joints are all replaced. Springs were already replaced when I bought it with aftermarket lowering springs. We did some basic stuff in the front, so I painted the bumper. It's got smoked turn signal lights, clear ones over here. The bar has been recoated, new bushings there. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely quite a bit of work that I've been putting into this probably over the last 6 or 7 months. I mean, it's been a while since you guys have seen this truck. Even went as far as replacing these guys right here, the strikers, because I know those go out quite a bit. So now it closes, nice and easy, sounds good. As I had mentioned before, we are gonna be working on the exhaust next. I'm starting to work on it. I've got the turn down right here, and we're gonna basically just send that back all the way to the back of the truck. One other thing that I'd like to do is I'd like to get a one-piece drive shaft. Right now I'm using a two-piece. The rear one was shortened and balanced. For now, it'll work because I wanted to get it driving. I put in the donor transmission cross member, so this one is out of the Tahoe. This is not the stock one. So this one had to be fitted into place. All the sensors for this truck have been gone through and replaced. Now this is the exhaust system for the piping. We've got the mufflers in here. This whole kit came from Speedway Motors, so they gave me 2 mufflers that are supposed to be Flowmaster sounding. With all of the piping, I want to say I paid $220. And most of these, they are set up in a way where you just slide them into place. So if you didn't have a welder, really all you would need just to make sure they fit correctly is maybe an exhaust pipe expander. You can get that at Harbor Freight for like 15 bucks. Just to make sure they fit correctly. If you know you need to make something a little bit bigger, you have the option to do it. If it needs to be smaller, well, hey, you can crush it with the exhaust clamps. If you don't have a welder, you got to use those anyways to kind of put the exhaust together. And then last but not least is I have the exhaust hangers. So I got a box of 10. I know I don't need that many for this truck, but they were 30 bucks. And if you want to get them on Amazon, it's 30 bucks for 4 of them. So now I have 10, and if I ever need to do anything else in the future, I've got it. So let me start it. Just kidding, can't start it, the battery died. So while this battery charges up, I'm gonna insert a clip of the truck running. You can see that now. That's all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching the channel.